I think the event itself was very hard. I think 2024 was very hard. And you combine those two, and it escalated things personally for us. And, well, quite frankly, we discussed, should we bring it back?
Welcome to the Shaw's Rink Podcast, and today we've got kind of a different episode for you. I've got my wife, Keri, across from me, and we've had some requests from people to just kind of give a little bit of an update. They want some information. They want to know how, things are going. Obviously, you came on the podcast with me, and we had a lot of fun, and I think even maybe in that episode we said we would do another one as kind of an update, follow-up, that type of thing. So yeah, we get to update our lives.
Yeah, usually we're passing in the driveway. One's going back to the house, one's going to the warehouse. So
a lot of that, or late night conversations after we put the boys to bed when we can. So it's crazy. Life is good, but crazy, I think, is probably the best way to say it. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Very, very good. Very, very crazy. Exciting things. And how do you get it all done? But overall, I'd say we're very, very fortunate, and it's awesome to be able to kind of make those decisions of what is the next step, personally or professionally.
Yeah. I mean, well, 2024 was pretty wild, kind of all over the place. I think it was, the best way that I could describe it is a building year, like a lot of investing into different things that we are wanting to come to fruition, to come, to kind of full circle to finish in 2025 here. So
I think of it like the slingshot. Like I don't know if that's like an actual saying, but for some reason I think of it.
You're pulling back to launch.
You're pulling back. 2024 was the pullback year. Definitely a lot of investment, a lot of like just thinking like what do we want? What type of impact do we want? How do we want to raise our children? Like everything like that. So I would agree. 2024 was a building year, but I think it was very hard.
Yeah.
I will say that, in that it's really forced us to kind of look at some things, assess things. But what's so fun about that is like 25, I'm so excited about.
Yes. Well, and I think it's, both of us personally, right? Like taking a look in the mirror and saying, okay, 2024, for me, it was my first year where I was not actively competing in strongman.
Yep.
So it was, I finished up 2023, called my shot, done with strongman. Out in 24, I didn't have anything where it was like, okay, now I'm getting ready for a contest, and we're, living our lives where we're in contest prep. Even though you're, not contest prepping, you would do it along with me in a way, right? Yeah. You were living that life where it's like, hey, we're, 16 weeks out or 12 weeks out, or, so it's always this buildup that had been pretty much a constant. Not pretty much, was a constant for us from when we first started dating to getting married to obviously having our boys and everything. Yeah. So it was a big change, a big shift for me. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. But, I had to do some internal reflection, right? Like, I think it's something where you have to look in the mirror and say, all right, I have done this for so long, so long, and really enjoyed it. But it was time to close that chapter. And I think that, last year was kind of maybe that in-between chapter year where there was a lot going on, but I also needed to assess where was I going to go.
I think it was definitely an in-between chapter, very different, because like you said, we weren't living our life in 8, 10, 12, 16, whatever weeks out. With that said, I think us, but also outside people thought, oh my gosh, Brian's retiring from strongman. This is going to be so wonderful. In some weird way, I think it was harder. I think for you had to rediscover a new passion. I think for me, I had to kind of figure out a new way to support you. Not a new way to support you. That's not, I don't know, like you weren't 16 weeks out and we weren't working towards X contest as a team, as a family, whatever. So I think it was definitely just figuring that out again, or how that looks. And I just remember and still so many comments like, oh, life must be so wonderful that Brian's retired now.
Yes.
And some way, I feel like 24 was probably one of the most challenging years in a while. And for a lot of reasons, but you were trying to refigure out like your passion. I was trying to refigure out like, okay, what is my role now? Because you're not necessarily competing. And then with that, we're like, hey, let's do these 800 new ideas.
Yeah,
Let's reinvest in the future. And it was again, it was challenging, but now I'm like super excited.
Yeah, I think people got tested, quite a bit like the last few years for sure. Mm-hmm. And for us, I think that
society as a whole,
yeah. Yes. And I think that, both of us accepted that challenge in our own way, right? Like as a couple, as parents. And one of the big things that has been a change this year massively is that we decided to homeschool our boys.
Yeah.
Right. And that was something that was on our hearts, I think, for an extended amount of time. And I don't, I'm not sitting here trying to say, hey, anything necessarily bad about the school, but there was a lot of stuff that was coming out that was highly, highly concerning to you and to me. And a lot of stuff we just didn't agree with. Right. So I think that was something that was like, hey, could we do this? And luckily we had met different people in our lives. You have met different moms that I think were very much influential.
Absolutely.
In this
Without
process.
Those moms, and I'm going to call them out, Kelly and Megan specifically, like without them, I would have never taken the leap.
Yeah.
I said I'd be emotional. And it's like homeschooling's been one of the biggest blessings. And people ask like, why did you do that? Yeah. And like, I don't even know. I don't know why. Like, yeah, you just said that, there's different things that we maybe didn't agree with. Yeah. And I think I can't say it's this one thing or these two things or whatever. It's just been so many things, little, big, whatever, but it's been weighing on us to like, hey, give this a try.
Yeah. Well, you say you don't know why, but I think that it's pretty clear that we know why. I know why.
Well, I think, I mean, do you want to share why for you we decided to homeschool? Because I think we agree on some things, but I think there's some more, I think there's a lot to it.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, right? Like, and I'm going to be real because I keep it real. That's what I do, right?
Oh, I'm sure you will.
So I went into parent-teacher conferences and I sat down and was told our son Braxton was behind in reading, and they were assessing him in his ability to read nonsense words. And I had to keep a straight face in this meeting where they're saying, hey, you know what, your son can't read nonsense words. They're not real words, but they're testing him in these things, right? And it's all about these standardized tests. Yeah. It's all about...
Well, you say the nonsense words. I say the reading. They kept telling us he was behind in reading.
Which he was not.
Well, and I think they made us feel... They were like, you need to read to your kids more. And we're like, we have been reading to him every single day of his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also... the nonsense words. That was Brian's thing. The nonsense word.
I'll tell you what, and I know people listening out there, a lot of people, especially people that don't have kids now, are gonna say, what in the world are you even talking about? It hit me just like it's hitting you hearing it right now. We're like, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so the reading,
absurd.
I know, absurd. Okay. The reading. Our older son loves reading, like
100%.
Obsessed with reading. We try to tuck him in at 7:30 and at like 9:30. He's still in there reading, and
just by himself. Quietly.
I think one of the things that hit me, he had to write like a poem about himself at the end of second grade, and he wrote in it. It was like a poem about yourself, and he wrote, and it's still hanging up on our like little display bulletin board. He called himself a fast runner and a fast reader.
Yep.
And I was like, we've spent so many meetings them telling us he's not a good reader, and he thinks of himself as like the best reader. And And my fear is that joy and excitement for reading and learning was going to be stolen.
For sure. It would have been, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's one thing. I think another thing is our lives are crazy and we just wanted to spend more time with our children. Yep. We felt like we were rushed in the morning, rushed in the afternoon, rushed in the evening, rushed.
Well, the quality time. So it's, you get, and people talk about, you get 18 summers with your kids, right? Because they're in school. But also if you look at it objectively, if you're rushing in the morning to get out the door to get to school, and then you drop your kids off, they are being influenced by different people for a large majority of the day. And then you get them at night. If you're involved in some type of sport or other activity, now that takes time as well. And then you have very limited family time, right, to influence your kids. Now, again, is it the easiest thing in the world? No, it's not. But,
I want to say,
yeah,
well, no, it's not easy.
No.
I also want to make it very clear that I don't feel like it's the only way. I feel that it's what is right for our family at this time in our lives.
Well, it's not. It's not that there's not outstanding teachers, right? It's
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, I was a teacher for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's not at all that we're against public education or anything like that. I don't think it's that at all. Yeah, I was a teacher for 10 years up until our second one was born, and then Brian hired me. But
I needed help because I was really struggling is what.
No, it's been a very, very big blessing in our lives. I think in our boys' lives in so many ways. Yep. But I do acknowledge that it is incredibly hard some days.
Yep.
It's also probably our favorite part of the day when we get to teach a lesson or read a book with them or get that little light bulb to go off. So
100%. Yeah. I mean, that connection, right? Like that's not replaceable. And so I think, over time, this is our first year of doing it. So we'll get more experienced and understand more. But at the same time, it's like, I think the blessing of the time and the moments and, being able to, teach, but influence and kind of give the framework to our boys that we want to,
100%.
I think is so amazing. And, again, in this world now, screen time, distractions, this type of stuff, I've had a lot of different conversations with, with other dads that have been in the homeschool situation. They're like, hey, I want my kids to go get their hands dirty. I want them to use their imagination. And that's what, well, to be fair, I didn't have a choice. I don't think we had a choice when we were growing up, right? No. You got kicked out the door. You go ride your bike, you play with your friends, you get dirty. Maybe you fall down, you skin your knee up, you figure it out. Like this is a life that we live. Now, is that the same now? Probably not. But also, you have to have an element of development of the imagination and just using your hands, right? And I think that for us, that's a beautiful thing because our boys, like some of the games they play that they come up with, the things that they do,
the craziest
if they were just sitting on the couch or sitting in a chair or wherever and behind a screen all of the time, that would simply not happen, right?
No,
so
it wouldn't happen. We kick them outside a lot. Obviously, Mom and Dad are both sitting here. Where are our boys? We walked out of here or walked out of our house to come film this, and they were sitting together on the couch reading a book. And I'd say also that's one of the things is they have built this bond
together for sure.
Together, where it's like they're always reading together or they're always outside on the playground together. And I mean, they have their moments. Every sibling does.
You have to.
But anyway,
so that's a big change. I love it.
That's a big change in our life.
Going into 25, I think we were unsure about that in a lot of ways. And I think we've only become more sure that it was the right choice for us, right? And I'm sure that some people listen to this that maybe are on the fence. I would say if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, it may be the right way to go. But, again, that's everybody
would 100% recommend if you are thinking about it, try it. It has been like the biggest blessing. And anyone that asks me about it, I don't shut up about it.
Yeah.
But it's for us. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you.
Yeah. So
and it's for us this year.
It is for us this year for sure. Yeah. So let's shift up a little bit. Let's talk about some other exciting things in 2025 that we've got kind of coming up.
Okay.
So projects that we are very much looking forward to that I have mentioned, I think at least a little bit.
In different ways.
Mm-hmm. So we've got, I've got a book coming out, which is exciting. And we're kind of getting to the final part of that, which is really, really neat, after all the work that's been put in. So, it's going to be about my childhood, kind of my journey, development of my mindset, all of these different things, and basically tell the story from my childhood to my first World's Strongest Man win, right? And kind of go through all of that. So it's been really neat to work on that, and I'm excited for that.
It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, we will be married 10 years this year.
10 years, yep.
But we've known each other, for obviously longer than that. But it's been fun kind of being a part of that journey with you in the book, and we'll talk about the documentary as well.
Yeah.
A lot of things I know about you, but for me, even knowing you so well, it's been fun to learn things that maybe I didn't necessarily know. And being point blank, like you were reading to me chapter 1 or 2 or something of the book, and I'm sitting there crying. And it was just so authentically you. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And it was just, it was awesome to learn about those parts of you. And like, we've been going through pictures and seeing the pictures and just, I don't know, putting all the pieces together. As much as I know you, I'm still learning more. And I think everyone, learns more about their spouse, but kind of through this process of doing the book and the documentary, it's been really cool to go back and look at pictures and hear even more stories and watch videos and stuff. It's been so fun. And I think it'll be neat. I think so. I think it'll be neat for people to learn about who Brian was that made him Brian Shaw. I don't know. That's how I say it. Is like people look at you and they say, oh, he's one world's strongest man. He's one strongest man on earth. He has all these lifting records and he's getting into arm wrestling. They see you as this athlete. I think a lot of people do. And, the book and the documentary just I think it'll really allow people to see a little bit more behind how you became who you are.
Yeah. I would say that those types of things, I hope happen, right? Because you have to share a lot, right? You have to share a lot of your life with a book, and you open up, I guess, right? You open up and give insight into your life, into your mindset, into experiences, and all of those experiences and different things that I have gone through are what have shaped me into who I am. And so it's all this journey that fits together, ties together. And I think that the thing would be is I share a lot. I try to share a lot and let people in for sure. But it's often maybe people would have questions, right? Where did my discipline come from? Or where did my mindset come from? Or why do I think about things the way that I do? Or, why do I have this be great mentality where I'm always saying, go out and be great. And that's the way that I attack everything. So it's going to be neat and kind of.
I'm sure your sister and your brother and your parents are going to love it.
Why do you say that?
No, I just think, they don't love to be front and center either. And, I think people, like you said, why are you so competitive? Or why do you have this certain mindset?
Sure.
And a lot of it is from, I think a lot of it is who you are, but I think also a lot of it is from your family and how you were raised. And I think it'll be neat for people to get to see that,
that side of it. Yeah. Well, it's the story. It's a story, right? So, I mean, a book and then, the documentary is something I think that I've talked about before, and it's been That's been a journey, just like everything else, right? It's had certainly it's an ups and downs and massive challenges, and going through that, that process. I believe is that everything happens in perfect timing when it's supposed to, and maybe you want something to happen at this moment and it doesn't, and the door kind of closes and then opens up in a different way. And I think that's definitely been, the documentary for sure.
The definition of this documentary.
And I don't want to say like too much about it, but it's been tough. I mean, it really has been tough, like trying to get it all to come together. And I think the story, like a documentary it's not something that I took lightly at all, right? Because it has to be done in the right way. It needs to tell the right story and have the right parts.
Well, and I think this documentary, as well as the book, again, it's going to show people stuff that they may not know about you. It's going to expose, I don't know if expose is the right word. It's going to share like things that, when you're out there lifting 1,000 pounds, no one's thinking, oh man, there was that time he couldn't tie his shoes.
Sure.
And I think the documentary or the book will kind of go into that maybe a little bit more than people may, not specifically that, but instances like that. And I think that's maybe a lot where your mindset has come from, where you've had to overcome the challenges. So those challenges will be faced. I'm going to throw this out because we've been going through videos, old videos, is I still just, the time that you were hospitalized before your last World's Strongest Man for the infection in your leg, you just chugged along because you had no option. I'd say I just chugged along. I had no option. Like you were in the hospital. I was at home with 2 kids and all their sports and running the business and everything like that. And looking back, it's like, holy cow, how did we do that? How did you go compete? And within, what was it, a couple weeks or something like that after that. So I think it'll show people that's where your mindset came from, your discipline and stuff like that, kind of overcoming those challenges.
Yeah. It's not just that moment, right? It's a series of challenges, challenging moments, challenging times, ups and downs, that you don't often necessarily share, right? And it's kind of this, behind the scenes, so to speak, inside look into what shapes somebody and the path that they have taken. And I think that's the neat part of especially these 2 projects with the book and the documentary. And I want, and this is, I've talked about too, but the one of the biggest goals is to be able to share with people to impact them in a positive way, right? So, and I think that also has to be at the center of why is this being done, right? Because there's probably a lot of people out there that if they have the opportunity to do a documentary, they're thinking about it from a self-promotion. This is, it's going to paint me in a good light or whatever, right? And I'm not saying that it won't do that. I hope it does. But also my main focus with it would be that it impacts people in a positive way and inspires people to improve themselves in some way, shape, or form, right?
I would say you're not an openly very vulnerable person. Like, up until these projects, you haven't very openly shared struggles.
Sure.
And not to mean that you haven't had them, but you're not out saying, look at me, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, I'm struggling. You're more of, you put your head down and you do the work, and you celebrate after the fact. And so I think the goal is to inspire people through showing them some of your vulnerable moments throughout your life. We haven't gotten there, but if we'll discuss the app, like, it's a lifetime of stacking bricks. Like, it's a lifetime of each day I just chose to make one decision to get a little bit better. And maybe it's a physical decision, a decision for your physical wellness or your mental wellness or whatever it may be, your relationships. I hope I say that because we don't really know. Someone else is editing the documentary, so we don't really know.
There's a lot of trust.
But I think the hope is to show people that it's been a lifetime of every day just trying to get better, and through that, hopefully inspire someone in their own journey, not to be like the strongest man on earth, or maybe they want to be, but just to be the best version of themselves.
Best version of themselves. I love that. Yeah, it's and again, it's different projects that we've got going on, but you mentioned, the app, and that's been another big project, right? But the time and effort and everything that's gone into that is hopefully coming soon to an end, right? So like, I don't know, we've kind of, but I think it's interesting to also share with people. So this app that we are doing is 100% custom built. It will basically have three main components. So it'll be exercise programs, a variety of different exercise programs based on your individual goals, customized nutrition for you individually, as well as mindset. So really the thought process is that all three of those really tie together for people. And, if you're, for example, I think that they all improve together. So if you go to the gym, you technically most of the time want to try to eat better. And then you also are building your mindset. So if you're strong in mind, strong in body, then it all fits together in a really good way, and you improve yourself. So I think that, doing, again, and people know this about me, about us, we do not do things halfway, right? So I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and a lot of people out there will maybe realize or maybe not realize that the different fitness apps that are out there,
they're just a template.
A lot of times they're a template. And so different people will put out an app and say, hey, here's my app. I'm going to put my face on it, and here you go, all this, right? But they didn't custom build it. They didn't custom build the back end. It doesn't have unique features. They don't have the ability to change any of it. It's basically a plug and play.
Yeah, same with the macro counters.
Yep.
Something I learned through this process is you just go buy the macro library. You just pay enough money and it just happens on your app. And I think something that happened for us is we just find that frustrating. Like, I don't really want to be like, hey, you get 150 grams of protein, you go make up your meal plan. Yep. We're like, no, I want someone to tell me, how much do I eat of the things I like? Yep. And so we have fully built out with the help of Nathan. Yeah.
So Nathan Payton is involved, and you guys will know Nathan for my years and years and years of work with him. But he's worked with not only strongman, but everything from I guess he's worked with bikini girls, fitness girls, normal people, executives, professional.
I think he's all at some Super Bowl parties at the moment.
I think he is. Yeah. But he's worked with every different, kind of facet or walk of life. And again, like Nathan's big thing is making the diet fit within your lifestyle, not you changing your lifestyle to make the diet fit.
Yeah, I think that's one thing here, if I'm just really being honest, is we've been going through the testing phase, and as much as we were like, hey, this has to fit into people's lifestyle, we kind of were here at the last minute doing our testing. And I was like, whoa. I want more flexibility. Mm-hmm. What if I have to head to basketball and I can't do this? What if I want family dinner at 4 versus at 8? And we literally just in the past couple of weeks made another change because we, A, can make any changes we want because it's fully custom, but B, we are doing our very best to use our personal experience. And I'll say your personal experience as literally the best in the world at what you do. And my personal experience of a mom trying to survive and heading out the door, in every different direction and trying to balance family life and stuff like that. And we're using our experiences to make this accessible for normal people. And I think what's been really cool is, you and I are teamed up on the app, but Nathan, Joe, we have a community of other people behind the scenes right now, and we all have our own strengths and our own weaknesses. And we all have this shared vision of like, we just want
where it can go.
Yeah, where it can go, and just like making people's lives better. And like the training programs with Joe.
So Joe Ken, for people that are.
Yeah, Joe is like.
So Joe is very much, I worked underneath him, like got my very first opportunity. I was going into being a strength and conditioning coach years and years ago. And he was at Arizona State University. I got a spot as an intern there first, and then eventually moved up to a graduate assistant, ended up leaving that position, but really like got a lot of knowledge at that point from Joe Ken. And then he went on to the NFL strength coach of the year. Very, very knowledgeable when it comes to training programs, how to implement them. And so he's going to be in the back end mainly, not that Keri will not do some programming, because she will, and I also will contribute as well. So you're really going to get a lot with this.
Well, what I wanted to say with the programming with Joe is like, he's literally coming in, I mean, all over experience, but like I'd say what he's like quote unquote famous for is training professional athletes, like strength coach of the year for the NFL. Like we're talking the top of the top, but we've had so many conversations where I'm like, Joe, I want to help a mom that had a baby 6 months ago. That's what I want to help with. And Joe and I have collaborated so much on that. And obviously he's helped you with your program, but he's helped me with my programming. And, I'll text him like, Joe, I did this today in the gym and the boys are here. And yes, he's the top of the top with the most professional. So there is like zero doubt in my mind that he can handle the top of the top.
Yep.
My concern with him was like, hey, Joe, what about like normal people? And he's like, what do you mean normal people? Like, that's where I got my start. Those are the people that like, he loves that too. And so I think that's been everyone's goal is we're trying to build a personalized platform where if you want to be the absolute strongest, most best version of yourself, at some professional level, we have the experience to do that. But if you want to be a normal person that feels really good about yourself and is a great parent, and I'm saying that like it sounds like it's less, but like to me, that's almost more important. We are building a platform for that too. And I think that's what I'm super passionate about. But
yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, it's a lot of time and effort and work, but also, it's grounded, and this is what we go back to, but it's why we're doing it is to improve people's lives, right? Because I have got to, and I'm grateful for this. I get to go to appearances and meet people all of the time, and from every different walk of life. People are at different points in their journey. They have different goals. They have different things they're going after. And being able to help people like that is what it's about, right? So this is why the why of why we're doing this. And really this is where the main motivation came from, was going to these type of events. And it's like, well, how can we potentially help more people and reach more people and impact more people? This is a great way to do it. And then it's going to build a community, right? It's going to build a community of like-minded individuals that you will get inspiration from and really be able to grow with, go through your process with. And I think that's the beauty in it. So
I think we've been inspired by those people at those meet and greets. Also, shout out to the current club members where we're trying to do this massive update, and they've been in the club now for quite a few years, but we've done challenges there where I'll be honest, they've just been a little more basic in the sense of that we didn't fully develop all the behind the scenes tech of trying to run a challenge or whatever it may be, but still this community came together and was like, I didn't realize writing down 3 things that I'm thankful for every morning, even if it was something as silly as a hot cup of coffee or like a warm shower.
Sure.
Writing those things down could have such a huge impact on my life. So I think, we've taken what we've learned with the current club and we're like, hey, let's blow this up and let's make this so much more accessible for people from all walks of life.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, I don't want to put an exact date on it because, like I said, you guys know that we do not accept anything less than the best. So we fought pretty hard here, and we will not ever accept mediocrity, right? So with the app, like, even though we maybe could have pushed it through and got it out, it wasn't completely right. So we're making sure that it's 100% right before we can get it out to people.
So we made the difficult decision to push the launch off just a tiny bit. I really don't think we're far out, like literally weeks.
Weeks for sure. Yeah.
And also invest more money. Like, that was another thing where, like, where can we pull that money from?
Sure.
And we said, like, we have to do it.
Yep.
And
it's
so
gotta be right. Yeah.
We decided, like, hey, we're going to pull financially from this arena to invest here because we wanted, well, you know, we said we want what we want. I think one of the emails I sent last week was, I will die on this hill.
Yeah, it's gotta happen.
And then I was up all night. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to hate me. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen the way we want it to happen. If it takes more time, more money, we're going to make it happen.
Have to. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting. Hopefully next few weeks. So we got a lot going on. If you guys are following along, I feel like this is turning into like, well, everything we're doing, but that's what 2024 was. And, you know, some of the stuff we were completely under wraps on and whatever. So let's maybe shift gears a little bit to the excitement of the Shaw Classic, because I know that a lot of people are excited this year, August 15th through 17th. So right in the middle of August this year. And a lot of things going on with that, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Like, I feel like every week we're working toward more planning, setting things in motion a little bit more. And you know, I think a lot of people are, What's really, really neat, I think, for me, is how excited people are, right? And the event that we started, quite literally started in our garage, is grown into one of the most highly anticipated events, at least in the strength world, strongman world, whatever. It's grown to that, right?
I'm going to call out the elephant in the room. Last year was really hard with the Shaw Classic.
It was, yeah.
I think the event itself was very hard. I think 2024 was very hard. And you combine those two, and it escalated things personally for us. And, well, quite frankly, we discussed, should we bring it back?
Well, and that was a real, you're right. And I'm of course, I like to get through those moments and then move on.
You like to forget. Well, what I was going to say.
But you're right. I mean, you're right. Completely
What we went back to is.
The why, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that. There's been so many people, and I wish I could remember their names. I remember the person in 2021 that came to Estes Park for the first time. Well, the first time it's public. Yep. I believe he was in a wheelchair.
Said he was going to walk, right?
And has come back and he can walk.
Yep.
Or people that have lost weight, or people have made it their family vacations, or different things like that. And I love the athletes. I'm not going to say that I don't love the athletes, but the experiences and the interactions we've had with some of the fans, where they have said how much this event impacts them, and watching the athletes on the floor impacts them. That was kind of like our, hey, we have to keep going because we're able to like impact these lives. Another person did the open, the Shaw Classic Strongman Open. And after the fact, like, competing is one thing, how preparing to compete then impacted his personal life when he had a situation where he had to be strong enough to carry his wife. Yep. Like, and I get it. Like, I get the strongman, the athlete, the thing, but like, to me, it's like the impact that could carry over into their personal life. So I do think, like you say, we're excited. Like, we're super excited. It took a little bit of time, but our team's super excited, and it's growing insane. Like, insane. Well, more events, more sporting events, everything.
Yeah, those are just a few examples, and I'm really glad that you brought them up and shared them, because that's just kind of scratching the surface. And I think there's a reason that, you know, the fans travel in from the places that they do. I mean, because quite literally now we have people coming from all over the world, and really, really enjoy the weekend. And that's what it is turning into. It's turning into a full weekend where I
think it is going to become into more than a full weekend because we're about out of time with
we're
with the 3 days.
And that's true. We were going through that schedule and it's like, holy cow, like down to every hour now is like, we're starting to get a lot of things going on. And so, obviously we've got Strongest Fan on Earth. I think that's the, the big one and the title that, so many of these guys
how
it
started. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's, it's huge, right? It's grown into something really, really big. And I think, the respect from the athletes and the fans and how bad they want to win that title is really, really neat, and it's something that I'm obviously very proud of because there's been a lot of hard work that's been put into that. So, that's number one. We've expanded the Strongman Open is what we call it. So that's for men and women. That's been wonderful. That was actually one of my favorite parts last year. I really enjoyed those competitors, them competing, and we've announced all that. And you can go to theshawclassic.com for all of this information. But we'll be announcing their events. We'll be announcing the signups.
They're coming in April, so those dates are on the website. So
so check that out. And then this year, the big news, I think. Well, we've got several areas of big news, but
you're jumping to the big news already. It's all big news.
Am I skipping something?
Well, I will throw out that we are bringing arm lifting back. That's grip.
Yep, grip. So we'll have a grip contest. Yeah.
Powerlifting is coming.
Powerlifting's
added this year.
And that's just recently we'll have as well. So that's something that we've been talking about. People have been asking about.
Okay, now you can do your thing that you're very excited about.
Well, I'm excited, of course, but I'm excited about those things too, right? And then we'll be expanding the expo, right, this year. So that's another big one, which will be really, really cool. And it adds, I think the expo just in itself adds so much value for people that come, right? So now you're not just coming to watch a contest. You get to have that expo experience alongside. So it really turns into a whole weekend, right? And that's what we wanted to do.
Kind of just learning as we go with the expo. So this will be our 3rd year coming up.
Yep.
And I don't really know how or why it's all happened, but the expo has just been awesome. And the number of vendors, because the expo is a little bit more on my end. Like I don't necessarily know, hey, we're going to make them do this event at this weight and this time limit. I don't really know that stuff. That's you. The expo is a little bit more me. And the vendors that say that they come to our expo and the fans there, like the financial benefit for their companies, like is bigger than any expo that they go. Like, yes, including like the ones they're thinking, oh, it can't be compared to this expo. That they have told me multiple vendors have said that the fans are just so awesome and the financial return for them as a company is like the best all year long. And it's just, the people are just so awesome. I think we've grown this like passionate group of people.
Yep. Well, it is a community. I mean, I think that's one of the big talking points after both of us were kind of, at the end of our rope, so to speak, after last year where we had to talk each other kind of off the ledge, because we had just given and given and given and we were empty. Both of us were empty, was the people, right? It's like, okay, let's sit down and have an honest conversation about this event and what it means to us and what we enjoy. Like, let's talk about what we enjoy and not get caught up in the bad necessarily, because bad, negative, whatever you want to say, can be overwhelming. So I think the community of people, the expo has grown. The people that come that have a booth at the expo, they're always, I think, blown away because they're like, well, should I really take a risk on coming and being a part of it, right? And then they're always like, wow, this is really cool.
We are new, you know what I mean?
Well, and it has to start somewhere. Everything has to start somewhere, right?
Why not?
Like the journey of 100 miles has to start with a single step, right? So like we're getting into it. And I think both you and I have said from the start, we don't know everything. We're not going to sit here and pretend like we know everything, but we'll try to figure it out. We'll get the feedback and we'll do it better. And I think that's what it's been. So,
okay, go ahead. Tell them what you're so excited about.
So arm wrestling is coming. That's the one, right? So I know that we put that out in different places and talked about it, but me, as I made that, kind of maybe to come full circle with what we're talking about, right? That transition of not competing in 2024 and, working towards
not competing in strongman, because you did technically compete in 2024. In
yeah.
We'll get there.
I guess, yeah. No, we did, right? Like that was something where I was like, all right, I started training kind of in the middle of, June, at that time when Devin Lorette came out here. And it was good. It was good. Right. And it's been an interesting thing to learn, to go back to the starting point in a different sport where you have to learn, right? Like you come in and you're like, well, okay, yeah, big, strong, whatever, but you've got to learn the basics. You got to learn the fundamentals. You got to work your way up. Right. Yeah. And so I've really enjoyed that. And being able to do my first super match in December of 2024 was great. I think it was great. It was a different experience.
I think Edward made it a different experience.
Edward did. Yeah. Eddie Hall. Yeah.
So we are bringing arm wrestling.
Yeah.
To the Shaw Classic. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. You say what it entails, because I don't want to
Yeah. So we're going to just for people's planning, right? We're still working through some of the details on this, but there will be a tournament that will be happening, and then we will have a super match format event that will be happening as well. So tickets
in the arena on Friday night.
The tickets will be available. We're kind of figuring out like the final details on that. And then I will have some different announcements that will be coming up to go along with that, so that tickets will be available. And then, the tournament will have the entries for that. And that will, due to the size, we're probably going to have to limit how many people can enter that tournament. And it'll be a really, really neat stage. Yeah. It'll be a really neat stage. It's, and again, with arm wrestling, like for anybody that's out there, it's like, okay, cool, Brian, where you're just getting into the sport of arm wrestling and now you're doing this and that. The way that the essence, like if you go back to why the Shaw Classic started, it was by the athletes and for the athletes, right?
Give opportunities.
And the way that I look at it is we've already got an established venue. We've already got an expo. We've already got the space. So this is a very natural thing to do. And, anybody that has followed fairly closely, back in 2023, we actually put a couple arm wrestling super matches in as, in between events of the Strongest Man on Earth that year, just to introduce it to the fans. So, I've enjoyed arm wrestling. I've been on the outside for quite some time, but now this is something that I can focus on, because doing strongman, I couldn't do arm wrestling. Right. And you can't really do it vice versa. Yeah, you need to be all in on one or the other.
I will say I'm excited to add the arm wrestling to the Shaw Classic.
How did you feel? How did you, you got to go?
I'm going to get there. So we have the venue. We have,
we have the stage.
We have everything athletes there. So we were like, okay, well, where can we fit in? What time window do we have on which day to give another field of athletes an opportunity? And for me, it was give the fans that are already there, they've already paid for their trip in their hotel, give them something else to do. And so if they want to go explore Loveland and Colorado in the mountains, go for it. Like, it's beautiful. And that's another topic, but we've purposely selected where we are at because we think it gives a great vacation experience for people, even if beyond just our event. But I'm excited about it because the arm wrestling's been kind of fun. Like, I've talked, maybe it's in the Q&A, somewhere. At first, I was kind of, I don't know. I wasn't like super into the arm wrestling thing. I thought it was a little weird, I don't know. It didn't make me very excited.
Yeah.
I couldn't relate to it. I didn't have any knowledge about it, but kind of two levels. It's been super fun to watch you. Like, when you are passionate about something, you become obsessed with it in a good way. Mostly. But you become obsessed with it, and it's been fun to watch you. Like, it's been fun to watch you fall in love with the just journey of getting better. With that has become the obsession of the 800 different handles and equipment and all that thing. And you're like, I think I'm going to buy this now. I'm like, don't know, do you really have to do that? But
Sure.
But it's been cool because it's actually really technical.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that. I just kind of thought it was, well, I just thought it was kind of like fighting. Well, it's kind of like a combat sport where you think of a fight, okay, cool, I just got to punch them in the end. But when you break it down and you think of like MMA, like, you know, you kind of did your thing with that. It was way more technical than like, I just hit them in the face and I'm done. And the same thing with the arm wrestling. It's you think I just slammed their hand down. I'm probably not saying, well, I know I'm not saying it the right way, but it's way more technical where it's like if you turn your wrist or your elbow or your shoulders or whatever, just like this half an inch this way or up or down or whatever. And that's cool because there's so much more to it than I think people realize.
Yeah.
And I think bringing to the Shaw Classic helps us for people to see it.
Yeah.
You know, to learn about it because it's been really cool. Going to the super match in December was very intense, very, very intense. Totally not what I expected. But fun as well. You know, it's just, I don't know. I sound so corny. Like, I think it's just, as a whole, people passionate about like what they do, like giving them a reason, something to train hard for, you know, a goal to reach towards. Like maybe you're in arm wrestling, maybe you're not, maybe you're in a strongman or you're not, or powerlifting, whatever it may be. But just that fact that you have a goal that drives you to be better, I think I think we can all share that at the Shaw Classic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are there. And so maybe they're not necessary. Maybe that we have so many people that aren't even strongman athletes themselves, but they love the concept of watching the athletes drive to be better.
Well, you're exactly right. It draws you in. It draws you in as a fan. And even if you don't necessarily have aspirations of competing, just being in that environment, being in that expo, being in that arena, you leave with your
inspired.
cup full, right? Like,
well, that's what with you with the arm wrestling, like, do I want to arm wrestle? No, not really. But I love that you love it.
Sure.
And your drive to be better inspires me. Now, it doesn't inspire me to be an arm wrestler, but it inspires me like, hey, you're eating a little bit healthier. I'm going to eat a little bit healthier. Hey, I'm putting in some extra training, or you are. I'm going to put in some extra, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it inspires me, you in your journey, for me to do better in my journey.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about. And it is the stage. And I think that, you know, I'm figuring all this out, but within the arm wrestling world, I have met a lot of really good people already.
Absolutely.
And the community is good. I've enjoyed that. And so for me, it's really a no-brainer to say like, hey, let's give this stage to these athletes to give back to the sport. So it's
physically we have the stage.
Yes, physically.
So let's put them up there.
Yeah, let's
give them another chance to compete.
You know, it's not anything other than, again, it goes right back to by the athletes for the athletes, right? So somebody may, you know, have some kind of, you know, misconception about why we're doing the things we're doing. But it's again, if I had gotten into the sport and met the people in the sport of arm wrestling and said, you know what, this is not a good crowd of people. It's not something maybe I want to do it myself, but I don't really want to grow or give back or do any of this. We wouldn't be doing this, right? It wouldn't be like, oh, well, we have this stage. No, we have met a lot of really good people and people that are very passionate about it and growing it. And that's why I want to do it. And I want to be able to give back.
Well,
and
so many of them, it's like, why do they do this? Why do they do that?
Yeah.
They just want to give back. Like, that's what they say over and over and over. Oh, I just want the sport to grow. Yeah. And I'm talking about arm wrestling, but I'm like, that's you with strongman. I just want the sport to grow. I want the people that come after me to have more opportunities than I had. And so, yeah, you're definitely newer to the sport of arm wrestling, but we physically have a stage. We have our arena.
Yep.
We have a live stream team. I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah.
We have a live stream team.
It's going to be awesome.
There.
Yeah.
So why not give the opportunity?
Yep.
We'll just give them an opportunity and just see where it goes. And they're passionate about their sport. And if we can help them reach more people, why not?
Yeah. I think I think it's going to be awesome. I really do. And so I hope people, you guys listening to this are excited about that. I hope you're excited about the strongman. I hope you're excited about the expo, about the whole weekend. And if you're on the fence about it, maybe hearing this is like, hey, you know what? That's enough stuff that I'm coming. I'm going to be there. And I think that you'll have a good time if you come.
There's food trucks. That's really what they need here.
the food trucks is just quite literally the cherry on top, right? Like, you just come. Oh my gosh,
I love the food trucks.
Yeah. It's good. So we've got a lot of planning though. I mean, it's easy. It's always easy to talk about, right? Like you can talk about it, get excited, but the rubber has to meet the road and the event has to go forward. And there's a lot, when you put more on the plate, which we are, then more has to be done. So it's just kind of like trying to figure that out and navigate that course for you and I is a big one. And that's something I think we're trying to do even better this year, so that we can give more of ourselves, but also enjoy the experience more this year. And I think that's where we need to live. And that's where I really want to live, is enjoying it, right? Like taking it all in and leaving with our cup hopefully full as well, instead of empty.
I would say that we're trying to grow our team to help us pull off this weekend.
Yeah.
And as much as you want to give an athlete a stage to perform on, a passionate athlete that wants to spread their sport, we definitely are building a team of people that are passionate to help the sport grow. And even if they're not on the stage, so to speak, themselves, they're excited to help grow their individual sports. So I think that's super exciting. So it's been a process and it's been a lot to manage, and it's kind of, where are we heavily involved, and then where do we kind of just, I don't know, I'm going to say sign off, where is that balance? To a fault, we're way too involved in every single little decision. Yeah. But we're trying to find that balance because we can't do everything. And so it's putting people you trust and that are passionate about what they do in the right spots. And that's how it's growing, is how it's growing. It's
going to be fun. I mean, I think it's going to be certainly a fun year. And, I'm sure people are maybe going to listen to this and have questions and maybe we should do some of these type of follow-up type of things, like whether we go on a certain topic or answer some questions or whatever. But, I think it's probably neat for people to maybe listen to this and understand a little bit more of the why, we have a plan and why we're doing certain things. And it's a fun way to communicate with people, right? In a longer form rather than just a quick post or saying this, because sometimes that stuff can get lost in translation a little bit. So we, as in Brian and Keri, have to get our boys to basketball practice. So I feel like we could keep going. And, I didn't really
Brian helps coach, so he can't be late.
Yeah. I'm also now a basketball coach, assistant coach. I'm not taking the coach asked me to help.
We were the head coaches for soccer. I can't talk because we're out of time. We are the head coaches for the soccer team in the fall.
Yeah.
We like to think we can do everything we can.
Yeah.
So
just put more on the plate. We'll figure it out. So we do have to rock and roll with that though. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, this little update, and, I hope for sure that your 2025 is off to a great start. I hope that all of you in your own way have goals that you are trying to go after and ways that you are trying to improve yourself, because really and truly that's what it's all about. So you wake up each and every day and get better. But you have any final thoughts?
No, I wasn't prepared to have to do the final thoughts.
You don't have to. I think you shared more than enough.
Yeah, I probably already overshared.
When I brought up basketball, Keri's probably thinking we got to get in there and make sure that the boys are all ready to go. I really
don't like being late.
No.
So
well, we're not going to be late.
I'm super excited about the things we're doing. Going back to the very beginning, like I just feel that we've been in the slingshot pullback mode.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about 25. And I think life ebbs and flows, and you have harder times and you have better times, personally, professionally, whatever it may be. But you have to go through those hills and valleys, and they inspire you and they make you grateful for the good times, and in the bad times, like, hey, I just got to get through this, and it's here for a reason. So just trusting the process, and I'm excited about excited about the things we have on the plate. And I really just, I hope we can help other people.
Yeah. It's going to happen for sure. So very, very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys are doing amazing for now. Go out and be great, and we will check you guys later. If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.